A very good morning, and EURUSD has been pushing down lower as of yesterday after it was announced that there were going to be trade talks hosted between Trump and the president of China. So this has pushed EURUSD overall in towards the downside as expected yesterday. Remember what we mentioned in the market outlook, that we grabbed liquidity above this overall liquidity high that we had here on the 4-hour time frame. After grabbing that liquidity, obviously you're going to be looking for a reversal in towards the downside. Now that reversal can then be expected once we get a 4-hour or a lower time frame change of character. So after coming in towards that liquidity high over here, we grab the liquidity, and then shortly afterwards, we see that push up, push down, push up, boom, we get the 4-hour change of character break in towards the downside. So overall, it was expected that we were going to see an overall push down lower yesterday, which played out beautifully. Now we can see that the market has been slowing down within this area of demand. Now this is an area of demand due to the fact that it is a sell before a very big buy in towards the highs, breaking market structure. Now for myself, this is not a very strong area of demand due to the fact that we have ascending lows positioned right below it. Now, what is interesting here for people who are looking for EURUSD buys is the fact that we had an area of consolidation. We liquidate the overall low, and then we see somewhat of a V-shaped reversal. So if today in some form or shape we now break the current fractal high, we get a retracement, and we break the current fractal high again, it could mean that you could look for some short-term longs back in towards the highs. However, I am being very, very cautious because preferably when you form an area of demand, you want it to liquidate lows. So this would have been a much stronger area of demand if it, for example, came down lower first, boom, and then we got the V-shaped reversal in towards the upside. Then this would be a demand zone that I would happily long from, but therefore, because it is as it is now, I'm going to stay a little bit safe and not, let's say, get into these buys too aggressively on Euro USD. So I'll be waiting, but overall looking good here, forming somewhat of a support base within this demand zone, but myself preferably still looking for some further downside to at least take out the ascending lows first, and then we'll see how the market reacts to those lows, or preferably even a overall push down lower to even take out these lows is still on my radar overall for Euro USD. But again, short-term longs or initial buy position might be taken as we've now liquidated this low over here. So liquidation has taken place. We're inside demand. The overall trend is in towards the upside at the moment. So yeah, obviously this liquidity high did provide us with a short-term reversal, but overall the trend is still bullish. So if we want to look for those stronger sells, then obviously we would need to see somewhat of a market structure break. Going into the dollar index, the dollar index pushed up higher obviously as well. Yesterday with EURUSD pushing down lower. Now we've pushed up in towards that supply zone, which I mentioned in yesterday's video, which is this buy before the sell. Again, I would be much more confident with those EURUSD sells once we break this overall supply zone itself. So we need to break the upper range. We need to see a candle close above it. If that were to happen today, then in towards next week, I'll be much more confident that we could see that further upside on the dollar. But as long as we're stuck inside this supply zone, it could mean that we're just ready to push down lower once again. Looking here at the 1 hour, you can also again perfectly see, just as on EURUSD, then the kind of like inverse chart, that we had an area of consolidation. We've come above that area of consolidation, and now if we break the current fractal low, we see a retracement, and then we break the low again. That could mean that the dollar is ready to push down lower. But otherwise, just look for kind of like a liquidity grab to fuel the next move up again. That could also definitely happen. That's why I would definitely look for double fractal break if you are looking for those dollar index shorts. So that's what I have for the dollar. But yeah, once we see a candle close above this overall supply zone, that is when I'll then be more confident that we will see a further upside push. Going into AUDUSD, AUDUSD has formed a support base within the overall daily demand zone. Again, daily fractal still bullish. Now we've retraced in towards this small sell for the buy again. 4-hour time frame. What can we see over there? Overall, let's say it's just come back down towards this overall sell for the buy. Nothing too interesting here on AUDUSD. Obviously, an overall long position still makes more sense than an overall short position due to the, let's say, overall price action still being, let's say, slightly more bullish than bearish. However, the overall price action here is still ascending at corrective. Preferably, I would look for short once we take out that daily liquidity, which is marked with the X. And then we have the beautiful ascending price action, corrective price action in towards that liquidity high. And then you'll have a much higher probability short. So not looking for any shorts on AUDUSD until we take out that liquidity high. Moving onwards into GBPUSD, we can see that GU has been pushing up as of the last 3 hours. Yesterday was interested in some downside, which came through beautifully from that overall 4-hour supply zone. So if we look at the 4-hour time frame, I'm just going to remove the overall green zone for you guys. We can very beautifully see that we indeed came into this supply zone. So this was the overall buy before the sell. Move it to the right, and then you can see a beautiful reaction. We had this as our liquidity high. So we came into supply, we took out the liquidity, and then we started to see some downside pressure. However, this demand zone over here provided us with a, let's say, demand base or a support base. Looking now at GU, it is still bullish. So overall longs still make sense as the overall market structure is still bullish. I'm just looking at the daily time frame, and based on the daily, I would preferably want to see a deeper retracement down lower, obviously at least in towards the 0.5 fib, which is let's say the middle over here. And we also have some nice ascending lows over here as well, right above it. Here as well. So I would prefer another sell-off in towards the downside. So today's price action will kind of like, let's say decide what's going to happen next for GBPUSD. And what I'm looking for at the moment is shorts. If the current fractal high breaks, then those shorts will be invalidated, and I'll look for just some further upside. If the current fractal low breaks again, look for more shorts, because then I'll be confident that we're going to be ready to take out these ascending lows. So for now, the fractal structure here on the 4-hour is still bearish, with this being the fractal high, this being the fractal low. So I'm still looking for those short positions. Looking at the 1-hour time frame, to be honest, we already took out liquidity above this high over here. We tapped into this previous area of supply. So this was a nice short position, was at around 3 a.m. So not ideal in regards to timing. Just to show you guys what that pretty much would look like on a cleaner chart, you can then say that this is your supply zone over here, and that this here is your liquidity high. So that's kind of like the short position, which I would have pretty much liked actually to take in towards the downside. But let's see what now happens this morning. We're seeing some bullish pressure in towards the upside and some bearish pressure on the dollar. But I'll be very, very interested to see how the market now reacts to kind of like this top over here, which took out all of these highs. So this might be a very strong supply zone to push the market down lower. But again, I'm recording this now live. So now I'm going to be monitoring how the market reacts. Does the market even react? And then an overall, let's say, reaction could, let's say, be a 5-minute change of character over here. So we look for this, then we look for the short position. Otherwise, just let this continue pushing up higher. So really look for that confirmation before getting into any shorts. But it does look like there is still potential for a short position. But once that 4-hour fractal high breaks, which is this high over here, then I would be, let's say, a lot less interested until we take out these two descending highs. And then I'll just wait for the 4-hour change of character again before looking for any shorts, then take out all of these ascending lows, okay? So that's what I have for GBPUSD. Going into NZDUSD, we can see that NU is also still bullish. Obviously, it is following, or we are following the daily fractal structure. Current fractal low still being respected. Market has now retraced into the 0.5 fib. Overall, inside daily demand with the daily fractal being bullish. 4-hour time frame is, let's say, not the cleanest, very consolidative as well. A lot of ascending lows as well. I mean, overall on the immediate market structure, based on the daily, it makes sense to still push up higher. Overall, my target is still kind of like this dotted line over here. So yeah, I mean, if you are kind of like looking for swings, you could get into something like this with your stop loss underneath the lows, targeting that overall liquidity high. But then again, for me, NZDUSD is one of those pairs that is just so messy at the moment, and it's not really ideal to be inside of it, especially if you're trading here inside premium, meaning that you're trading at the top of the range and not at the bottom of the range. So this is just rangy price action already since, let's say, mid-April. So yeah, these kind of market conditions are not ideal. I preferably want to be in market conditions that are trending like this over here. And then once this happens, you kind of like want to stay out personally, especially if you're kind of focusing on those 4-hour positions and those 4-hour plays. But yeah, looking at the lower time frame, obviously it makes more sense to look for buys than for sells. But even on a 15-minute time frame today, the market seems to be consolidating. You can, however, see that we took out all of these ascending lows, so that's nice to see, liquidation. But now you want to really see some momentum come in and then get in on the kind of like, momentum chain. With this much consolidation, I do expect a big move soon. But we'll need to see a direction chosen first because yeah, we have ascending lows and we have yeah, at the same time already ascending lows taken over here, so that could be enough to push the market up higher now. But I would only get in once we really see kind of like clear momentum and a clear conviction that we want to move up higher, because for now it's just unclear. Going into dollar Swiss, we saw a beautiful push in towards the upside yesterday, a very, very clean price action, and pretty much what we discussed yesterday happened, where we got that liquidation of the equal lows over here. So still looking for further upside on dollar Swiss. So looking at the 4-hour time frame, we can see that yesterday we got that 4-hour change of character high broken. For now, it's kind of like at a resistance level. Let it kind of like manipulate a little bit, I would say. It's now just taking highs and lows. For now, it's taking some lows. Just let it do its thing, and then once we've kind of seen a little bit more manipulation, then we can get into some positions once again with some more conviction. At the moment, it's just consolidating. So let's wait and see if we can get some more. So let's wait and see if we can get some more conviction through some, let's say liquidation of the overall range lows before looking for some buys again, or wait for it to kind of like start ranging or trending again and breaking out, and that could be a good moment to get into positions again, or wait for the retest and then get in on positions. But yeah, still looking for dollar Swiss longs overall. Going into dollar yen. Dollar yen is also, or has also been pushing up higher. Looking here at the 4-hour, we can see a very strong push in towards the downside as of this morning. Overall, still interested in some more buy positions. What I'll be looking at here on dollar yen is, again, as well, manipulation. What we have here is still a low open, so I'll only be looking for longs once we manipulate that low. That is the moment that I'll be looking for longs. So what needs to happen? Am I just going to buy on this low? No, I'm not. Obviously, I'm going to be waiting for the manipulation to happen and then look for a potential buy position once again. So that's what I have for dollar yen. And then last of all, we of course have gold. Still interested in buys. Has been pushing up higher as of later yesterday. Yesterday I discussed there were kind of like two levels that I was looking at on gold. This is the 15-minute time frame. We had these equal lows over here, and you can see V-shaped reversal. I was expecting a push up, didn't happen over here, but then we came into this second low, which I discussed yesterday on the live session. We did liquidate that, and then you can see that the overall reversal up higher happened. Now, as of this morning, we retraced in towards demand. We've seen the 15-minute internal change of character here, so I'm now looking for further upside on gold for the rest of today. So yeah, looking for those buys on gold, and yeah, we'll be monitoring some further long positions within the overall Discord community to take out the descending highs. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Wish you all a fantastic trading day, and we'll speak soon.